Long time coming. Yo, living room like a stock room, dark room pictures. All that wailing, stick a harpoon in them. Rap version of Goku. I made.
What up, though? This the Kid Illfields, aka Bronzy PC, All Good Society Group. We back with another one, man. We in the 804. We in the Rich. We OT. With one of my partners, my compadres, one of the good men. I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself, good brother, man. Tell them who you are and everything. They already know, but yeah, I mean, just refresh them on the topic, you dig?
Man, for those who don't know, my name is Noah, aka Noah O, Charged Up ENT. We here at the Charged Up flagship store in Richmond, Virginia. Charged Up ENT is our collective, coalition, record label, whatever you want to call it, but yeah, everything charged up Noah O.
That's what's up, brother, man. How you
Sure.
doing? How have things been in your world? What's been going on recently? Talk to us.
Sure, I just dropped a new project with my guy Big No, Richmond Brave 2.
Shouts to know.
Yeah, shout out.
Northside know.
Yes, sir, my brother. So this the second edition in our partnership, man. We've released our first project together, Richmond Brave, in 2023. So yeah, we just dropped the second one. Had the release concert the other night. So things been smooth, man. Dropped a merch capsule. So we rolling, man. We working going into 2026 strong.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, so I'm gonna kind of let's take it back from the beginning. You're not originally from VA or from the 804 in particular, right? Like, where you from? Put us on some game.
Correct. So originally, I rep the 804 all day. This is my home. This is where my roots are. But I was born in San Francisco, California, the Bay Area to be exact, Northern Cali. Yeah, San Francisco, man. I was born out there. I grew up in San Francisco and grew up there in a city called Daly City until it was time to go to middle school. Then in middle school, I moved to Henrico County, Richmond, Virginia.
And being that, you know what I'm saying, you got some of your roots over there on the west side of the Bay, what kind of influence does that have in your artistry and the music and any kind of the aesthetic that comes out?
Shoot, man, like just my whole approach to how I've always approached like art and music, music and everything. Really, it came from growing up over there originally. So like just growing up in the Bay, which has a really strong, just independent mindset, ever since the beginning. The Bay Area is where like a lot of movements start, whether it's like, the hippies, the Black Panthers. I mean, ever since the old days, people that came to the Bay or Northern California was because of they were people who migrated from other places in search of something. So, a lot of people came there looking for gold back in the day, and then you had like, people working on the railroad coming from China. Then you had, Filipinos and Mexicans who would come work in the fields, as well as like, you had African Americans who migrated there from the South, mostly like Texas and Louisiana. So all of that, like, it just like a gumbo when it came to like styles. But the independent spirit, I think, of the Bay Area is what really helped just mold me like in the hip hop, most artists who got the looks from the West Coast was from LA. That's where Hollywood is, the film industry. So Northern California artists always had to get it out the mud. People like E40, MC Hammer, Too Short, like they were people who, when I was growing up, I would
Mac
hear
Dre.
Mac Dre, can't forget Mac Dre, whole things like that just always been the mindset. Like you don't wait for people to put you on. If people not hip to what you're doing, you got to get them hip. So it's just like it's a lot of game out there. Like that type of mindset is a real hustler mentality oriented place, a real gamed up place. So like, of course today you got people like Larry June really like carrying on that tradition. But
I know he was on the Bay.
yeah, Larry June.
I mean, that makes perfect sense,
He's
though.
from San Francisco.
That
And
makes
for
sense,
real,
though.
I believe like, you had people like in the 90s, like Rapping Forte, other artists who was getting national looks, but like really, I don't think I've seen an artist come out the Bay, like besides E40, but like being from San Francisco specifically, like Larry June was really, he's carrying that tradition on, really helping, plant that flag. But his music, his own mindset, how he approaches it, really, it to me embodies like San Francisco and what it means, or what it feels like to be from over there. But
That's
as
what's
far
up.
as me, everything I've done with Charged Up, it's like that was already implanted in my brain as a kid. So when I came to Virginia, um, you know, a lot of artists here, it's like you either had to most of the time go to New York or Atlanta, but I always would tell my partners like, nah, bro, like if nobody is gonna help us, if nobody's gonna help us or give us a look, we gotta do it ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I would have that outlook if it wasn't from being raised over there originally. So
So with you answering that, this is Jen Griffey Jr. here. I'm also
thank
here as co-host here. I wanted to ask you, when it comes to your certain mindset and staying determined and everything,
you.
how do you decipher who to take advice from versus taking your own advice? Because people will give you advice, and when you go against it, they'll try and say that you're hard-headed,
Uh,
and that how do you go against the hard-headed rumors?
man,
Is there any kind of validation between like where you're at right now, where people told you, you know, because you don't listen to anybody, you're gonna fail or anything?
I think like for one, I believe like what's helped me or what I've learned from other people is like always be willing to listen. Like that's a certain way I move. Is like you never know who you could learn from. You know what I mean? And if you listen more than you speak, like if you always willing to speak or say you know everything, you're not really processing what people telling you. So like for me, you never know where you can learn something from. Like if y'all been around here, like we have all type of people from different walks of life come through here, and I always look at it like when it's people that's older than me, I've always been willing to listen. I don't know if it comes from like because I'm Filipino, like culturally, just having respect for elders. But I look at people when they're older, period, whether they are on drugs, sober, you know, whatever background they come from, it's like it's a reason they survived and made it to old age, period. Like if they here and they in front of me walking, like it's definitely something I can learn from them. But when it comes to like listening to people, like for one, I trust my gut. Like I believe like all of us, all insight or like instincts, uh, you know, if you have a spiritual belief, is coming from something beyond us. Like, you
Right,
know what I mean? The
right,
divine, whatever you want to say, God,
right,
conscious, all of that. So I trust my gut first. And when it comes to people, like I said, I'll listen and hear people out and process the information. But then I also got to analyze where that's coming from because a lot of times you'll have people who tell you things, but they moving from a place of fear. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
Like a place of
right,
yeah, really fear. And I don't move with fear. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
right,
not gonna be hard headed and just shut them down, but I listen to them so I can really decipher. All right, where is this advice or what they're saying coming from? Is it coming from because they have my well-being in mind, or is it coming from a place of fear where they're scared and they're gonna try to tell me something that they wouldn't do because they might be too afraid? But a lot of times, like over time, I had to realize I can't share everything with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like
for sure.
especially when
Got to keep a level of discernment.
yeah, discernment and not, you know, it's real tricky because you might be working on something, you're excited about it, but I had to realize over time, like not to tell anybody until it's at a point where they can't sabotage it.
Yeah.
Honestly, you feel me?
Yeah.
It's like
For
I
sure.
hold that
hey,
joint close
I
to me,
understand that. I
and by
understand
the
that.
by the time I do reveal it or post about it, it's too late. Like what
Yeah.
they might think, you know. And I've had people tell me at times like I post some like, dang, I didn't even know you was working on this. Yeah, that's strategic because you're not gonna know until it's time for me to begin to roll out.
Yeah.
And by that point, that you know, like the cake is baked.
Yeah.
I'm not still cooking. Like this joint is ready to go. Now all I gotta do is put it in front of you. But yeah, you just gotta move with discernment and really see, analyze where people are the place that they share information with you. Where is it coming from? And
Right. One thing that you had said earlier, you had mentioned that something that you had got hit to was Richmond was a melting pot. So as you are figuring out that Richmond is a melting pot of all these different cultures, all these different
Really the
sounds.
Bay but Richmond is too to a
Right.
degree. You know, Virginia, and Richmond
So
specifically.
if you can describe the difference between the Richmond melting pot sound and the Bay Area melting pot sound.
Oh well,
And if you can give us a couple comparisons between the Bay and Richmond.
I think the Bay already, when it comes to hip hop music, there's a certain sound that been cultivated. Like in the Bay, right in the Southern Cali, they had was like G Funk, like them type of bass lines.
I like that shit.
It's slower,
Nate
like
Dogg shit.
yeah, Nate Dogg,
Yeah.
Dr. Dre, DJ Quick, like
Lowrider shit.
there's more slower, right? And California is like the whole West Coast, so you got to think like
For real.
you got a down south, which would be like imagine.
That's one state.
Yeah, there's one state, but
the whole
imagine like
movie in there.
LA is where Atlanta is at, and then San Francisco and Oakland is all the way where Richmond is. It's further up north, so it's faster. Like the way people talk, it's just a different culture. So the Bay sound, you have what's called like mob music. It's like it's just a different sound. I think like nowadays what you hear in the Detroit music and even the artists like Larry June, it incorporates elements of that traditional Bay Area like mob music sound, and it's just different beats. That's the best way I can explain it. If you listen to some old E40, or there's like an artist out there that's a legend named Dre Dog, Andre Nicotina, RBL Posse.
Andre Nicotina.
These is all people,
Where's San Quinn from?
He from Fillmore. He from San Francisco.
I rock with
San Quinn, Messy Marv. Like
I've never been to California, so
yeah, those are all people. But like when you hear like Mozzie from Sacramento, but that's still Northern California. Like his sound originally when he came out, it incorporated that Northern California sound, and it's just different from LA. Like, but I believe some of those artists are like still keeping that sound in the music. But then you had, the early 2000s, like people like the whole hyphy wave. So a lot of that stuff, like with DJ Mustard and LA producers were doing with the club music, that really came from like the hyphy music or movement from the Bay.
Tell me when to go.
Yeah, like that's like if you go to the Bay and you go to the club, like you'll see people dancing. Like people dance. Like when it goes up and they playing all that, like the whole club, people was having a good time. Like that's what's different, like versus down south where like, yeah, I know in certain places people will dance more, but it's just a different vibe. It's more the Bay Area music was more fast paced. But I think when it comes to Richmond specifically, that's one thing like Virginia or Richmond, and Virginia as a whole never had no one sound sonically that you can attach and say that like that's the Virginia sound. Like
you don't think so? Even our like 02 to 06-ish.
What I think like
back then Timbo shit.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't got that no more. But
but what I think
that was us.
Timberland and Neptunes did was introduce something, that was different. So like, other producers may have emulated that, but you wouldn't have like somebody from Detroit be like, oh, that's that Virginia sound. It's like, it's hard to identify. And then now, because of the internet, it's even more. But what I will say about Virginia is the thing that people from Virginia have done constantly is like introduce something new that breaks the mold. You feel me? Like Timberland, the Neptunes, even D'Angelo, even Lex Luger. Like these are all people.
D'Angelo's one of the founding fathers of neo soul.
Straight up.
For sure.
Like that was crazy. Like, and to have us lose him recently is, damn, rest in peace to D'Angelo, man.
But they say remember like Richmond have there, and I remember like growing up here when D'Angelo came out, there was a whole scene of like jazz, neo soul artists and people rapping.
Out here?
Yeah, and it comes from like the open mics, that jazzy, soulful sound.
Was Basic Random and all them like the people was in the circle ever coming out here and shit?
A lot of them people, I think like Philly
soul shit.
Yeah, and Richmond, Virginia was intertwined. Like, people like D'Angelo, and I know Skills got a lot of ties to Philly. So I think it was a lot of like similarities or
You know,
synergy between the two, but
I think Mad Skills did a good job of trying to
oh
bridge the
yeah,
gap between 804 and 757 as best
yeah,
as he could.
definitely. Like, and that's that whole generation that broke through at that time. Like, they Skills was the first to get like a national platform. So when all them clips and all of them started blowing, Timberland, Missy, they Skills was on Timberland album. Skills
Yeah,
would be on stage with
yeah.
Missy and all them. They was really doing their best to like show that they were all from Virginia. You know what I mean?
What you think is like unique about the Richmond scene itself? Like in turn, it doesn't have to be just the music, it could be the art, you know what I mean? Just kind of the energy that's flowing through the
Oh,
streets or
I
whatever.
think
Like,
like
what do you think's unique about this compared to any other spots?
And also, I'd like to piggyback off that question too, if you can answer this as well. When piggybacking off of that, how do you find your way to integrate your Filipino culture into the scene with your foreground, as he asked?
so like I think all right, what you were saying was different.
What is unique about the Richmond scene? Doesn't have to be just music,
Or
it could be
anything
art, it
like
could be
that.
just the spirit of,
And how have you,
creativity.
and then in what ways have you integrated your Filipino
Yeah.
culture into the scene and within your artistry?
So I think really over the last 10 years, like because of there's been more I say acceptance of the arts and creativity. VCU has a lot to do with that. And then just it's like the perfect culmination of when a place has like certain factors in place that makes like creativity be able to be nurtured, right? But it's like Richmond had like cheap rent and you had a lot of
Who's on? Who?
Richmond, like the rent was cheap here.
Oh, okay, cheap
And
rent. Okay, okay,
yeah, so
okay.
like in this area specifically, like it was
This Jackson
accessible.
Ward or this?
Yeah, this Jackson
Okay.
Ward. So it was accessible. Where like, and when that happens and it's like a lot of
And this back on some Edgar Allan Poe type shit, right? Like way
like
back in the day. Like it's been
yeah.
historically known as a place where artists have culminated, like
Yeah, like
writers and shit like that. Like
artists, creative people could come because it's cheap. And then like that just like it's always happened in certain places, even going back to the Bay, right? Like you had these places, it might not be desirable for families and this and that, but creative people is like, oh, I can live here, work cheap, rent, whatever. But yeah, it started to be like 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, like started to see like more street art, a lot of artists just DIY stuff, throwing their own shows. Not even just hip hop, but like rock and punk. It's like, that people just doing stuff like at any given day of the week. So that's what started to happen here. It's like people just throwing their own shows, throwing their own parties and all of that. And then you know, it makes it desirable or cool where it's like for young people or people just living like, oh, I could just stay here. I got everything I need. I could live here, I could work here, and then, function with other creative people. So that's what started to happen.
how do you kind of get into the mix of the music and the art all in the Richmond scene? Like you said, you moved here from the Bay in middle school,
Yeah,
to start in middle school.
I mean,
And like who were
first,
some of the
first,
influences or names that was running the street you was looking out to
I
during
mean,
that
of
time or
course,
whatever?
like back when I was little, looking at Skills and D'Angelo, they were big on the national level, but you just had different people just uh doing stuff, bro. I can't think like specifically. It's just how I got in the mix. Like, just I was an artist. I wanted to do shows, so you just start going to places like the Camel, Nancy Reagan. But what I was gonna say, what um what changed or what did is like when you got all these things all at once from like sneaker stores to people like little independent art galleries, people like Chilele, like all these people just doing their own pockets of things. It just makes uh it just all one thing bounces off another. So I think one thing Richmond had to its advantage is probably more so it's not as spread out as the 75 where we have like a central like location with the city from all the outskirts where like if you come down, this is where all the motion is going to be at from the venues to it's like people not going to choose to go 20 miles away and you all got to come here. So that's what started making a lot of stuff just cool. It's just everybody had to come to the same area. But I think like really the biggest factor was like VCU starting to get better at sports. All of that brings money.
Yeah.
And then when more people come and don't move away, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when you start to see like cats like Round Two starting businesses or
Right.
Utmost, like
Right. And I
people
used to
just
shop at
doing
Round
stuff.
Two, so I was a huge fan of Round Two.
Yeah, bro, that brings a lot of attention when you got artists. We have so many artists like making moves just on different levels, not even just in hip hop. People starting to get names for themselves.
Is there a connection between like the venues, the performing arts venues that host some of like the regional acts that come through or the national acts that come through? Like what's that one performing the concert hall up the street or
I mean, you got like the National, which is like the equivalent, and I think it's owned by the same people as the Norva.
yeah.
Then you
So
got the Broadberry.
is there like
and
connections between like guys and artists and artists that are creators coming up out of the streets and out of just regular, beginning their careers and being able to tap in with places like that and
Yeah,
get in
like
front of
there
regional,
is.
national acts, etc. Like,
Yeah, like
have you seen that dynamic kind of
yeah,
change over
because
the
like
recent
I was
or in the past?
somebody I would say that had to do that. Like you work your way up. Like
Yeah.
I started off with doing events at like the Camel, which is like 100-some person venue.
Yeah.
Then that venue gets like the Broadberry, which holds 500. Then
Yeah.
I graduate, could start doing stuff there. It's like you
Bit
could
by bit.
yeah, you got to know when it's time for you to grow or like work your way up to that next step.
It's
But
like bench pressing. Like you get to a certain max, then you
yeah,
build up and train for certain
but
max.
it's all types of those stuff. Like it's not always time just because something is bigger don't mean it's better. Like you know what like Boiler Room is. Boiler
Like where
Room.
they be on the DJ sets
Yeah,
online and all
and it
that.
just be hella people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
some to me, that's what make Richmond dope too. You might just be in Jackson Ward and go to some random house party and it's people performing, and
Yeah.
it's just a house full of people and it's
Yeah.
hot and everybody's drinking and it's
Yeah.
lights, smoky, but it be a dope vibe. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's
Yeah.
the type of stuff like when you have that going on.
I
It's
told a
just
lot of the homies like the interesting thing. Every time we out here, it seems that like you are saying, although there is a mass of people out here, it is a city, and you understand that there's a decent amount of people out here. We're not in the boonies and the sticks. You feel me?
yeah.
So there's a
It's probably
scene.
1.5 million people like in this area.
Like there's a scene, there's enough to make you feel like you're in a city in a place where things are
Yeah.
happening, but it also comes through that everybody knows what's going on the scene.
Yeah.
Or like they are in tune and informed, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
these guys that live over here know that everybody or whatever is happening, everybody's got the memo kind of like where
Yeah.
we're from, it's 7 different cities.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
hard.
Baby New York style. It's like if I'm in Norfolk, I don't really know what's going on in
Yeah.
Newport News or et cetera, et cetera. Like I might be out there, but it's really kind of just a different type of vibe. So I always told the
Because
homies
it's
that.
like if for 7 cities, where is the center? Where is the
Yeah.
one place that everybody go? Is it
Yeah.
Norfolk or the beach?
I
It's
mean,
usually between Norfolk and Hampton. Like Hampton and Norfolk are going to be the closest to each other. That's the closest bridge. Then you have Newport News and then Virginia Beach, where are like the outer perimeters
Yeah.
within that.
it's
Where
pretty good.
you know what I'm saying. That's
But
the
where
best
would
way.
the most central be? Where it's like if
They
you
would tell you Virginia
downtown
Beach.
Norfolk?
No, they would tell you Virginia Beach. Honestly,
I mean, I don't. That's
in the
that's a very loaded question, bro.
in the 7-5, they would tell you Virginia Beach is where
I think Norfolk,
between Norfolk and Virginia Beach is where the ball is
geographically,
gonna
Norfolk
be
is in about the
Probably.
center of the 7
You're probably
cities.
and now on my side of the water, you'll probably get like the politicians.
That
and
bridge tunnel
stuff.
is such a divide that it's
It
gonna
really
be two
is.
different mindsets of
Yeah.
either you on Hampton Newport News side or Norfolk Beach side. And
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean?
So I'm from Newport News.
Yeah.
Usually you'll get a lot of traction when there's a politician coming in. Because usually entertainers will go towards his side of the water.
Yeah.
So on my side of the water, we have Hampton, Newport News, Williamsburg,
Yeah.
Colonial Williamsburg, Jamestown, Busch Gardens,
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
like that. And that's so it's like, so that's why like we're trying to like just kind of bridge the
Yeah,
gap.
yeah, definitely.
Here's what I wanted to ask you real quick.
Oh,
though.
hold on. You was asked about the Philippine.
Yeah, I was about to say,
far
yeah.
as that-
How's that Filipino culture?
Yeah,
Filipino
like how
culture play
have
into
you
your artistry and what you really put out as the aesthetic?
Yeah, and then how have you found a way to like weave it into the space in where you're at.
So I think like, and this is something like before I moved to Virginia, like I grew up in an area in Cali where it was like 99% of the people I was around was Filipino.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like
whole neighborhood.
yeah, whole city. Like so I thought all of America was like that.
Damn.
But that's just the area I grew up in, you know, then I moved out here. So like I would talk to so when I moved out here, because and especially in Richmond, it's not like I grew up in 7-5 in Virginia Beach.
It's a population.
No, when I moved out here, I probably didn't meet no Filipinos for a long time.
For
Besides
real.
my mom. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like,
Damn.
you know, I always tell my homies, especially like, you know, my homies I grew up around predominantly black folks, I was like, imagine you move somewhere and you know you're black and you're pro-black, but there's just no black people. And imagine where
Iowa.
Because they don't know, people always asking questions. So like that's how I kind of had to adopt as part of my persona. Like, man, let me just put this in my screen name. So it's like now you know that question is addressed.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hit it right on the head.
For sure.
You Spanish, you know, and some people like sometimes be like, well, it's like you racially ambiguous. And it's like, well, let me just put it that way, even if you don't see it right away, it just kind of addresses. So like that's one way I've had to put it in there. And then like even in my music, it wasn't until like a couple years ago I made the album Filipino where I was kind of like dissecting it, putting stuff in there. You know what I mean? That reference it. But like for my homies that's born and raised on the West Coast who got 2 Filipino parents who when you first see their face, they look Asian or Southeast Asian. Like for them, you know, and I've talked with my Filipino homies about this, it's like, not that they'll try to shy away from it, but it's like, it's no need for them to overly put it in there because it's kind of seen visually. So it's like, but they're not aware, I say for them that's growing up over there, they're not aware of what it's like where in the rest of America, they're not as predominant. You know, so it's going to be a lot more explaining for me to do, especially like growing up in Virginia, being on the South and the East Coast, where like a lot of times when I step in the room, but I've been the first. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of firsts by my name, just because of where I'm at in the country. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like I try to remember that. Where it's like, bro, if I do something that's corny or it's whack or I don't kill it, that might be where they like, man, them dudes, you know,
represent for the whole culture.
You
for
feel me?
sure. Yeah, you putting on for the whole culture.
But you know, Filipinos always been involved with hip hop, especially like behind the scenes, is like producers, of course, like Chad Hugo, DJs, like it's some dope, legendary people. But because they weren't in roles where they were as visible or had to talk, you didn't know it. You know what I mean? But like now, and because like it's a lot of Filipinos that's have, you feel me? So like now you seeing it, but it's a lot of cats like me where like you got like Sweetie, she's half black Filipino. You got her, Sweetie. There's hella cats in the NFL and the NBA like Jordan Clarkson. Or Doug Baldwin, like they're happy to be, you know, they're like black and Filipino. So now it's hella cats, and I know that anybody who is like me, like regardless if you have, I just know how much like that pride was in me, the culture was in me growing up around, you know, having Filipino grandparents eating the food. So it's like, we might be American, but I still know that part of the culture. So when I see like these cats, like there's plenty of interviews, Sweetie, she could speak some Filipino, like her mom is full Filipino. So she's proud of it. So it's like, it's a lot of cats like that. It's just something that's new, you know, as more people like that's involved with the culture, but especially like in streetwear and hip hop, like streetwear specifically, like the dudes that started LRG, they was Filipino, Crooks and Castles, like hella fashion and streetwear.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, all them dudes.
I actually learned something new. I did not know that.
What is Bobby Hundreds?
Commonwealth. Is Bobby Hundreds?
I got a 100
Asian,
tattoo right now.
Like Rude, the dude who do Rude.
Luigi Villanueva?
You know,
Rude,
that's a Filipino dude.
Villanueva. Damn.
Yeah, almost all them cats, bro.
Wow. Yeah. So y'all got some rank in the streetwear game. That's funny, yeah. That's a funny correlation now that you say. I'm like, damn.
But it's like you don't know because you know the brand. Right, you feel me? You know the brand, but you don't know
the ownership. Yeah, I dig it. Nah, I be on that type of shit.
What changes it is hip hop, you know, hip hop specifically rapping is a thing where you're forward facing and you got to talk and tell your story. So now, you do have.
And if you're not that type of person that really is about that in your business or whatever, you may never know. The
and them
consumers
type
may
of
never know.
things. And I think even part of that was like, I know how I grew up. It's like there's this thing called like the model immigrant thing where it's like you just work, but you're not supposed to be seen or heard. Whether that's because some cats are immigrants and don't want to rock the boat or don't want to be seen or don't. What was different is, and I was telling somebody this earlier, my family came to America at a time and they was in the Bay where it wasn't a lot of Filipinos. So like they was even more Americanized versus like some of my homies, their parents and family didn't come over till like the 70s or 80s. So they was more so like fresh from overseas. But my mom and them was like from the city and they had that type of mindset. You get what I mean? Like if you born and raised in the city, like, yeah, your skin might be brown, your face might be what somebody think is foreign, but culturally in your mind and your mannerism, you from the turf, you from the city. So like, and that's to me is even American, where it's like, in other countries, especially like countries where there's corruption and stuff, you can't speak up.
Yeah.
You might get killed or
Damn
thrown
right.
in jail. But
Damn right.
America, what's America built off of? Like
Freedom.
yeah. So even the first people, they didn't want to be English no more and pay taxes. They was turning up like, fuck that shit. We gonna go to war. We not letting you do this to us. So like that's the type of mindset like I have. You know what I mean? Like and I'm gonna tell my story, and you know what I'm saying.
That's what's up.
That's part of like what all of us do is
That's
like
what's up.
we doing music and fashion. We like, nah, bro, we gotta do this shit as big as possible, as loud as possible.
Yeah.
So people know your name and know what you rep before you leave here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
yeah.
That's what's up. All right, so I'm gonna switch it a little quick second. What do you think your role is personally in the history and context of the Richmond creative scene, yo? What do you think your impact has been, or what would you like your legacy to be looked at as, man? It's not bragging and boasting, but it's, you know what I mean, knowing your position in your space and the work you put in, everything that all of us honestly look at and we know.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? Your name ring bells. I done heard your name in different cities, bro. So what do you think your name and your impact on the Richmond creative scene, I mean, your history and your legacy is?
Man, I just at the end of the day, my goal is to move things forward. Like I remember one of my dudes, like he said, yo, we moving the chains, right? Like if we trying to get to the end zone, everybody wants to hit a touchdown on the first play, but it's like as long as we moving the chains forward, that's what matters. We getting closer to the goal. So man, that's always been my goal. It's just like each day as we moving this shit forward. Wherever we go, are we making, getting that respect and moving the bar, you know what I'm saying? Just keep raising the bar. And I believe like, yeah, Virginia, bro, Virginia has done some legendary things. But I always feel like, Richmond, even though it's the capital, we haven't had that level of visibility, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I have so much pride about putting it in the music, everything I do, because I want them to know, like, it might be cats that know of Virginia, but they don't even know what Richmond is. Like a lot of times when I've been to other places, first thing they say is Virginia Beach. That's because
I tell people
think
that.
about the
I don't
Clips
tell them
and the
I'm from Norfolk
Neptunes.
if I'm out of town. I'm like, I'm from Virginia Beach.
Yeah,
So-
and that's a hell of a job that like, Pharrell and the Clips and all them have done. You feel me? They would think Virginia Beach is the capital and the biggest place in the whole state.
Yeah.
I went to
But
college
it's not
in-
knocking Virginia Beach. But that's what you're supposed to do is put on for where you from. You know what I mean? Make it known.
But here's the thing: is I went to college in Maryland. I told them I was from the 757. They automatically assumed I was from Virginia Beach. They said,
Yeah.
"Oh, you live by the water, right?" No.
They might have, and then they might have
started
heard they
calling,
say
"You're a surfer, right?"
Norfolk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They
Norfolk.
say,
Yeah,
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth.
Yeah, Portsmouth, Norfolk.
Yeah.
But they might have heard these
You-
things from like
You technically have to curse to pronounce them right.
from
Norfolk.
like AI and different stuff. But bro, just to put on as big as possible, and then the things we've been doing, like I really believe like seeing is believing. The more we get, and that's the goal of the festival or even the shop, is like we make this a destination, especially when you think of things like South by Southwest or A3C, these different things that attract other independent creatives. That's the biggest thing, because I was at event a couple months ago. Shout out to Jasmine B. Jasmine B is a lady that throws events and like shows and stuff, but she did a one-day music festival, and there was people that drove from Indiana. It's like the more we do stuff like that, because artists and creatives are always looking for like opportunities. So as long as we keep building and attracting people to come here, but that been my biggest thing. Like the festival now, when I go to other states, like especially New York, like a lot of cats like, man, I gotta get down there for that. So it's like, all right, we're doing our job. If we did it 2 years in a row, let's do it another year. Like just keep building it, because that's when people believe stuff, is when they see it in reality. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for
Like,
sure.
Speaking of which, you have Charged Up Fest.
yeah,
Give us a quick history, and then what's the plan for 2026?
So Charged Up Fest, quick backstory. Every year around my birthday, I'm a Gemini, my birthday falls near Memorial Day.
And every year Memorial Day?
Yeah, it's always
Be they
right.
twin.
Yeah,
me
it's
and
my
bro got
twin
the
line.
same birthday. Man, that's crazy, man. We ran into each other, clicked
That's
up like, what's your
fire.
birthday? Yeah,
That's
okay,
fire.
okay.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
fire.
He
Yeah,
probably the
real.
first dude I met in life with the same birthday.
Real live.
That which is crazy because I have mad birthday twins.
And Big L.
I have mad birthday
Yeah,
twins.
Big L.
Yep.
That really?
Jadakiss Jonas, my mom's birthday. My mom's
Your
birthday was
birthday
May
twins with Big L?
26th.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire. I'm birthday twins with 21 Savage.
When is that?
October 22nd.
Okay, was that Libra?
Yeah, yeah.
My son is a Libra. My sister's a Libra.
I
But
should
yo,
have
so
Roddy
quick,
Rich, too.
every year I would throw, like, I used to throw monthly events in Richmond, right? Like I did that probably for like close to 10 years, throwing monthly shows. But then when I fell back from that, I would throw shows, like I would normally throw like one big show, like a concert every year around my birthday, just to, like I've never been a big club person. I'm like, if I'm gonna be in a club or a show, I might as well be the ringmaster, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make something off my
Yeah,
birthday.
damn
Like,
right.
to anybody out there know, you don't gotta buy me a drink for my birthday. Just come through.
Yeah,
And you can buy as much drinks as you want to hand me one, but come through the event. But yo, it started from that. And I met my manager, shout out Aunt Marshall. He founded the Lyricist Lounge, which is like a legendary hip hop platform based out of New York. But when we met, we started getting locked in. He was like, well, what's something you working on, right? Besides music. I was like, yo, I want to do like a festival. I feel like I know how to throw events. I've thrown everything from sneaker shows to, you know, vintage reselling events to parties to concerts. Like, but it just looks like we would just need to do the same thing, but multiple days. If we
Yeah.
could pull that off, it's
Yeah.
not impossible. So he started showing me the blueprint of how to do it. Like, all right, this is how you do it. And you involve other people. So that's how we did it. The first year we had the city of Richmond, contribution to the Culture Foundation. We got sponsorship. We was able to block off like 3-4 streets. We threw shows, producer events. We was able to bring down like with the sponsorship money, we was able to bring down like some legendary people. And it was also motivated by like me going to Houston and seeing Trey, the Truth, do his Trey Day events. So like from there, it's like, bro, we ain't got to reinvent the wheel, just do the same thing, but in Virginia.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, this at the time we had already seen like something in the water, which is dope. Things like Rolling Loud and all that is dope. But I'm more so motivated like by the independence of it. Like, how could we do like what A3C does, where it's like we just have dope independent artists, and whether it's visual artists, poets, rappers, singers, entertainers, streetwear people, how can we get everybody to come down to Richmond and network and build with one another? And that's what we did. Like, bro, the first year we had cats come from, really all around the country. And then last year we did it again, you know, everything from a information panel talking about like hip hop and mental health and substance abuse to a free community basketball game.
Everything was lovely, yo.
Yeah, bro. This next year,
2026.
yeah, 2026 will be the third one, 3P. We're gonna do it again. And of course, shout out Good Society. Just figure out how to
Sure.
keep, building. And it's not one thing, like, because people are hitting me up now, like, I want to perform at Charged Up Fest. And it's like, the goal for me is it's not even about like one show. Everybody could perform. We're gonna have
Yeah.
multiple shows, but the biggest thing we need now is we need people to bring ideas and events fleshed out. Like, let us help you put on what you don't gotta ask me to perform. How can we help you elevate your brand? and you can have your own label showcase and pick the artist. But that's really the goal of it, is how do we use this as a just as a platform to highlight what everybody else is doing. It's not about being on my stage, you know what I mean? Like, of course, it's my birthday. I'm gonna throw one of the events and curate it myself. But I want to make sure every event is successful and lit. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be just about like one or two events. How do we make this successful as a whole, where everybody walks away and have gotten to highlight themselves, their brand, network with other people. You know what I mean? That's the ultimate goal. Is not to just highlight charged up. Charged up is just helping provide the framework. You know what I'm saying? To make it successful.
I mean, within the framework though, how have you found that having a brick and mortar has attributed to um being able to bring out your ideas and being able to bring people together?
Oh man, this joint right here have definitely changed my life. Cause this is something I probably dreamed about since I was a kid. Like, draw pictures of it. I remember before the store opened, I believe in things like vision boards. You got to write out your vision.
Manifest.
Yeah, man, I think sometimes because I'm doing it, I don't really see it, but I have to sit down, sit still, and remind myself. And I go back and look at, I had drawn a picture, you know what I mean? I drew these seats, I drew everything, almost like a vision board, cut out pictures, and to see it come to life, like, people believe stuff again when they see, you know what I mean? Like, and it's not knocking nobody. It's easy to start things nowadays. Like, it's very easier than the past to start things, right?
Yeah.
And
Cause
just
then,
start.
then when we had it trying to come up,
Yeah.
for real,
But it's like
we didn't
people
have all the
started and
technology
keep
in
going
2016.
and keep going and going,
Yeah.
even when it's hard. And that's, I say, even for me, it is a challenge, but it's changed. It's changed because I remember before I opened, I knew this lady. Shout out to Jasmine. She had a photo. What is it called? Like a selfie place.
What, like a kind of like a photo booth suite?
Yeah, like
Selfie
almost
world.
like selfie.
Yeah.
My selfie. So she had the first one I ever been to. It was in Regency Square Mall. But she was like, I was asking her questions. This before I even knew I was gonna open my shop. I was like, yo, how'd you do this? I was real impressed. I was like, yo, this is dope. She was like, yo, if you ever open something, she was like, what you want to make sure is make your place Instagrammable. And I was like, what do that mean? She was like, you want
People
it
to
to,
take pictures in the joint.
yes. So that's what's
Your
like,
moment.
yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, that's free exposure for real.
when I opened this, I was definitely inspired by like other places I had been. I was inspired by this place called Apartment 4B in LA. That's a streetwear boutique, but it looks like you in an apartment in New York from the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
shit is crazy, bro.
Okay.
And that's from Jay-Z's song. Jay-Z said he used to bag of work in apartment 4B.
Uh-huh.
But like when you go in the store, what's crazy is like, you see how my joint got the windows like that? He has a
Yeah.
fake wall so he could change out the front of the store each time. So like when I walked past it, it looked like it was a Chinese restaurant. Like it had the light. It looked
Oh,
like,
word.
Oh,
word.
that's
but it's like
fire.
you go through a little doorway and then you come into the real store. Then it might be another time where it's just a brick wall with graffiti on it. But when you go in the junk, it looks like an apartment. It got china cabinet, little stove you could crack on, like, and dude went in the fridge and pulled the shirt out and gave it to me. My mind was blown. I was like, when I was
that's
That's
crazy.
that's presentation.
That's
for you.
crazy.
He
I'm
went.
gonna show
That's
you the joint when we
crazy.
done.
He
Like, it had a
went. He went
stove.
in the fridge and handed you the shirt.
Right, it looks like a New York City project apartment.
That's hard. That's hard. In
And-
LA.
No,
Mhm.
that's
That's
what
hard.
That's what
That's
fandom
hard.
be doing on his
But then there's
stream.
also another spot called Bodega in Boston where it looks like a bodega, like complete with cigarettes and, you know what I mean, beer and everything. But you go through, looks like it says employees only, and you go through the door and it's a sneaker boutique. So
So
it's
it's
like,
like a sneaker speakeasy.
yeah, but it's
It's
like
like
the
a
first
sneaker speakeasy
the
almost.
first little part of the store is what looks like a real actual New York City bodega. So it's like,
It's fire.
I was like, bro, that's what I want to do. But it's changed where there's literally been artists we would sit around and watching on TV in here, and then, man, I said 8 out of 10 artists we was watching have walk through these doors. You feel me? Like I feel like we manifested, and it's all cats we would listen to, not like random artists. Like, bro, literally, we in here slapping these dudes' music, you know, just chopping it up. And then over the last few years, these dudes have pulled up on us like out the blue. So like to me, it's like this has become like a place we've been able to give a lot of other artists and brands opportunity, a lot of dope events here where I've spent my birthdays in here where we just having producers play beats like and that genre is what means the most to me because it sometimes it's hard to get venues nowadays. So like we've been able to use the store more than just a store. Is like I feel like we're building the equivalent to things that I've seen in other cities that help those scenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in Detroit before, there used to be this a dude named Maurice Malone, and like Eminem and all them dudes, Slum Village would be at this store and they'd be having open mics. I know
The
in like
basement or whatever, right? What was it called? The hip hop shop.
yeah,
Yeah, hip hop shop. Yup,
this dude
yup.
named Maurice
For
Malone.
sure.
Then you know, up in New York City and Lower East Side, Lambs. I think it's called Lambs. It's in
I'll
Lower
be
East
hanging out
Side.
LES when I'm in New York.
Yeah,
For sure.
Lambs is like, bro, that's and shout out to my guy Ketchup. It's a dude in New York named Extra Ketchup. He definitely inspired me to do this as well. Like seeing his spot, how it's built out. That was in Brooklyn. So it's like, to me, hip hop, art, fashion, it all goes together. Like the music inspires the fashion. The art be inspiring the way I approach the music as far as like my packaging, my album covers. So to me, that's what the shop represents, a way to bring all those different worlds together, but it's still hip hop.
No doubt. Well, last question, man, before we get you up out of here, bro. What is on the horizon? What else you want to put out on the
Oh
streets?
yeah,
Tell the people
man.
about First Friday, something coming up in February, the
Yeah.
anniversary.
When is
Like,
this
talk
joint
to us.
dropping?
This will be right out after New Year's, couple days after New
Okay.
Year's. So you got some
Yo,
time.
so anybody who sees this first February, first Friday in February, we have an event to celebrate our 4th anniversary, the Grand Slam event. You know what I'm saying? This year, 2025 was the 3P. 2026 is the Grand Slam. So we're doing an event for our 4th anniversary. We're gonna drop some new pieces for that. But also my guy, Charged Up Skrill, he just wrote his first book called Charged Up 365. It's a motivational book, 365 days of things to get your day charged up. So he gonna be dropping his book. We got some producers in here, so it's gonna be the Charged Up 4th anniversary books and beats event. We're gonna do that. And then I'm putting out a new album. Heretic is coming out 2026. Charged Up Fest 3 is gonna go down in May and
Yes,
June.
sir.
And also in the spring, March and April, I'm going over to Europe. We'll be doing some shows over there. So I can't announce it yet, but
Okay.
I'm gonna be over there
That
supporting
overseas
some
money.
legendary people. So yeah, man, Charged Up
The info.
International. And then hopefully, yeah, in the fall, I may be going over to Japan. We just gotta get all this stuff lined up. But 2026, man, it's a big year. Charged Up, you know, Good Society is gonna be part of these moves as well.
So
Richmond Brave 2 out now, man. Hit us up, Charged Up. Come see us, 106 West Broad Street, Richmond, Virginia.
that's what it is, man. Man, that's what it is, man. I appreciate you, brother, for sitting down with us
Nah,
for this
thank
one. Tell
y'all,
them where they
bro.
can find you at on all the social medias, the websites, anything they can tap in. Like you just said, the stores on
Yeah.
Broad, but
You follow me at Charged Up Noah O on all social media platforms. On the website, chargedupent.com. The store pages are at Charged Up Store, but it's no A and no E. So it's CHRGDUPSTORE. But if all that's too hard to find, just follow me, Charged Up Noah O. It'll lead you to everything, chargedupent.com. Richmond Braid 2 is out now, man. Peace.
that's what it is, man. This the kid Ill Feels aka Brazzy PCO, Good Society Ground here with my media compadre.
Yes, sir. It's your boy Jen Griffey Jr. and this was a pleasure. We out.
For sure, man. At Good Society Group, GoodSocietyWorld.com, YouTube.com/Good Society Group. Like, follow, comment, subscribe. We out.